Before we get very far, the legal department here at Bullock's Rules for Writing would like me to say that advanced placement is a registered trademark of the College Board, and that the College Board has not approved, sanctioned, or in any way associated themselves with me personally or with Bullock's Rules for Writing. I'm just a guy with a YouTube channel and a dream. Theme song. Welcome to my series on AP English Language and Composition. This is one of two AP exams that are offered by the College Board, the other being AP English Literature and Composition. I teach the AP language, so if you're watching this, you are either one of my students or you're some random weirdo on the internet searching for videos about AP English Language and Composition. Either way, please subscribe, especially you weirdos. I love you, weirdos. But this video series is intended as a sort of an introduction to the class, an introduction to the major elements of the class and the AP exam. It is obviously not intended to supplement taking the class for an entire school year before you take the AP exam in May. But it can help you, or it can at least, this is not a bad thing to watch in the week before the AP exam, just to kind of remind yourself of everything that you need to know. Now, if you're not one of my students, what I'm going to be saying is almost certainly applicable to you because, the AP exam is the same for everybody everywhere in the world. But always, always, always listen to your actual AP teacher. I want you to do well on the AP exam, but I also want you to do well in your class. So the AP language class is centered around argument. Learning how to read and respond to and analyze other people's arguments, as well as learning how to write your own arguments well. And you may think you know what an argument is, like a screaming match in the hallway, or a bunch of people flinging insults at each other in a YouTube comment section, or even a rudimentary, here's my claim, here's my evidence kind of structure, a 5-paragraph essay kind of thing. And yeah, those are all kinds of argument, but they're not argument in the sense that we mean argument here in the AP English language class. And before we get too deeply into what that means, I do want to say that I recorded an entire episode, it's called episode 0, about what I call the only rule you really need to know. Here's a screenshot of me looking ridiculous from that episode. The only rule you really need to know in order to be successful in an AP English Language and Composition class and in writing in general is that writers write what they write on purpose. So I'm going to link to that episode below and you can watch it. But there are two corollaries. There are two things that go with that only rule you need to know. Corollary number one is that when you are reading other writers, you should be thinking about all the things that those writers are doing on purpose. Why have they composed it in this particular way? Why have they arranged the structure of their argument or their text in this particular way? Why have they chosen the tone that they've chosen? Why have they chosen the evidence that they've chosen? When you are reading, you've got to keep that idea in mind, that the people you are reading have written what they have written on purpose. Corollary number two, of course, is that when you write, you should write what you write on purpose. And I mean, you're a teenager. Your idea of writing what you write on purpose is probably sitting down at 11:30 the night before a paper is due and typing like a crazy person, but that's not it. Do you think, to pick an author, J.K. Rowling sits down at her typewriter, at her computer, at 11:30 the night before a book is due? No, she doesn't. There's like years of planning that goes into a book series like hers, and many, many months of planning that go into a single book of hers. She has to figure out, okay, who are my characters? What is their backstory? What is the plot of the thing that I'm actually writing? What are some of the important set pieces and other events that I need to make sure I get to at particular points in this book? It's a very long and detailed process. I am not expecting you to take months to write a single paper in your AP English Language and Composition class, but you need to be somewhere in between teenager, 11:30 at night, the night before the paper's due, and J.K. Rowling. But wait a minute, Bullock, you are saying. I can hear you through, let's just say magic. The AP exam, you have 2 hours to write 3 essays. You don't have time to take days or weeks to plan out and carefully consider and revise your AP English exam, that's okay. A couple of things I want to say about that, and I'll talk a little bit more in the very next video about taking the exam. But the readers know, the people who are scoring your essay, they know that you had about 40 minutes per essay and it's a first draft. So don't worry about that. But the second thing is you will have spent an entire school year practicing the skills that you need. So you are good at those skills and you're better at those skills than you were when you started. Let me use a sportsing analogy because I don't do enough of those. Think about baseball, right? Baseball, there are pitchers. They're the guys who throw the base. I'm pretty sure of that. They're the guys who throw the baseball at the other team. So they spend a lot of time, of course, practicing, working on their form, making sure they know what they need to do when they take the mound to throw their pitches. They're playing games, so they understand what a real-world pitching situation looks like and feels like. So imagine, that after many years and many games as a pitcher, imagine that for some reason there's a baseball game happening at 3 a.m. and you go to the bed of one of these pitchers who's fast asleep, and you sort of shake him awake and you say, hey, you're going in to pitch. And it's 3 a.m. The guy hasn't time to warm up, probably hasn't even had time to pee. But when he takes the mound, he knows what he needs to do to pitch successfully. He has so much practice at it that even in that limited amount of time, he can still perform pretty well. That's what's happening in your AP English class. You are practicing these skills. You are practicing writing these kinds of essays so that when you only have 40 minutes to do it, you can still do a reasonably good job. So here's where we are. The AP English Language and Composition class is designed to make you a better reader, a more critical reader. You can look at what writers are doing and you can say, they're doing this on purpose for this reason. Here is the effect that they are creating. And it's also about making you a better writer so that you can say, you know what, I want to use this particular technique. I want to achieve this particular effect. And then you can do that in your own writing. Now, if it's just those two things, it seems like it ought to be really simple. Why do you need an entire school year to prepare for the exam? Well, it's not actually that simple. It's actually very, very hard. And that's what we're going to get into in this series, okay? I will see you for the next one. Okay, welcome to, don't say okay, that's dumb.